Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Good morning. Yeah, I've said so much already to Phil and Joyce that I've run out of things to say. It's not true. Never. Joyce, that's on tape. So, this week there was an interesting development in the world of technology. I don't know if you saw it, this new thing called Face app. It caused a tremendous amount of controversy because as soon as it came out and was wildly downloaded and utilized, that we had people come forward and immediately say it's part of a new Russian attempt to hack into our social media. Chuck Schumer was one of the first to jump at that, suggesting that it was a danger to our democracy. I just thought it was a danger to myself because I look terrible as an old man. And immediately I found people in our congregation who took pictures with their parents and said, I don't need the app, you can just look at my mother. And we know, because I did it, I deleted the app immediately. Because I was afraid that my image was going to sway so many people from voting in the next election that I immediately deleted the app. No, I deleted the app because I was afraid. Because the truth is, I don't know much about technology. And because I don't know much about technology, anybody could probably convince me of almost anything if it has something to do with technology. And so I noted very quickly that I was motivated by fear. That has become part of what it means to live in the world today. Not just in this country, but throughout the world. We recognize the incredible power that fear plays in motivating people to behave in a way they might otherwise not behave. People will rush to do something because they're afraid. People will be a little more apprehensive if it's just because they hope or believe in something better. That's the nature of what it means to be human. We'll move quicker if we're afraid than if we're hopeful. And time again, we see examples in the Torah of moments where people prey on people's fears in order to be able to change the way they feel. You saw it quickly with the story of Pharaoh, in which he says to his nation, kill off the firstborn, because those Jewish people are going to get to be too big, and they're going to overtake us. If you can convince a nation that there is one other nation that's out to get them, it's a motivator. We call that national profiling. When you identify a nation as the culprit, then everybody who identifies with that nation becomes the aggressor. We saw it with the Japanese. And we rounded Japanese up and put them in detention camps. We see it today on our border because of our fear of Mexicans. We've seen it time and time again. Hitler, Yimach Shemo, was able to motivate an entire nation to get the Jews because we were the source of the problems that that nation was experiencing post-World War I. Fear is an incredible motivator to get people to do things. And in most cases, it's a motivator to get people to do bad. The Haftarah this morning says, walk humbly with God. Go speedily to do good. We have to have that instruction because it's so much easier to do the opposite. And so this morning's Torah reading once again gives us a story of an individual who is a king of a nation who says there's one nation, they're going to get us. And if we're not careful, if we don't curse them first, then they will overrun us. And look at the examples I can provide. And so once again, the Jewish people feel the paranoia that we have come by honestly. And that is to say that there have been times in our history when people are out to get us. And because we live that way for so many millennium, it's easy for us to feel afraid every time something happens. Every time a politician says something that in any way can be construed as anti-Semitic, our ears go up. And we get nervous. Because it's not so distant a memory when politicians spoke about us in such a way and caused the Holocaust. So we come by our paranoia with a great deal of history. And so when Bilam says, "Ve'ata lecha na areh li et ha'am hazeh, ki atzum hu mimeni," when Bilam says, "This nation is getting too big for us," we hear those words in the modern day in the same way that they were heard back then. We're no different than we were back then for us to be able to be afraid that they're out to get us. But you can't stop there with the story. You have to finish the story. And the story ends with Bilam saying, "Ma tovu alecha Yaakov mishkinotecha Yisrael." How good are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel. He says, those people who curse you will be cursed. Those people who bless you will be blessed. The end of the story is that we as a Jewish people have survived. And not only have we survived, we have thrived. We're not a beaten down nation. We're a nation that's forever yearning for something better, and we're instructing the world in the process. So every time someone says you should always have your bag packed because you never know when someone's going to come get you, I say, "Matovu alecha Yaakov mishkinotecha Yisrael," how good it is to live in our house. And I'm not worried about moving to Canada. I love it where I am. And I'm proud of the world in which I live. I'm proud of the nation in which I dwell. And I'm not looking to leave. And just because somebody says something that does make me perk up, it doesn't mean I'm leaving. And it also doesn't mean that the end of the story is bad. And Sforno says something extraordinary. Sforno says on this word, on this phrase, "Asher tivarach mevorech," Hine kocho lo haya levarech, aval haya lekalel. The strength of cursing is often more powerful than the strength of blessing. But that's not the story. We regularly believe that the ability to curse will always override the ability to bless. We're always sure that fear will conjure up such great motivation that it will override the hopeful. Sforno says no. It's not true. It may be a motivator in the moment, but the arc of justice bends in that direction. The arc of goodness bends towards the good. And history will prove itself to be in the hand of the victor of those who are hopeful, not in those who peddle in fear-mongering. So I say this to you today simply. Ask yourself what motivates you towards action. Is it hope and kindness, love and generosity? Or is it anger and fear and hate? One has a short shelf life. The other is eternal. Anger entraps those who are angry. Hope breathes light into the world. Shabbat Shalom. We continue with Musaf, page 184. Please rise.